Great. I think I'm going to get started. And while our presenter is giving her bio and her background and helping getting everyone oriented, some people will continue to come in. You saw me last time. My name's Hillary. I work for EHN Canada, which is Edgewood Health Network, and we are Canada's premier mental health and addiction treatment network. So we have facilities all across the country. I know we had some alumni from our facilities like Edgewood and Bellwood last time. And if this is your first time at our webinar or support group, welcome. Thank you for coming. We are getting experts who are friends of our network to come in and share their tips, tricks, methods, strategies to survive these really difficult pandemic times. Because we know, because we've talked to a lot of people lately, and we know that people are really struggling in different ways. And we know that some of our alumni are at increased risk for relapse because they don't have their communities anymore. So we're trying to have a community built in because we can use our technology to create a community. So if just a little bit of housekeeping, we will be doing breakout sessions today. So we're asking hopefully for a little bit more active participation, and we're hoping that works out today, and we'll roll with it accordingly. So that's why if you came to our last webinar, it looks a little bit different. We don't have a PowerPoint presentation like we normally do. If you have a question for our presenter today, please feel free to throw it into the chat. Please make sure that it is directed to either everyone or to me, or essentially to me, and I'll make sure that those get answered. And I think that's everything. And if anybody, we'll try to answer your questions as best we can. We should be going till about 5 p.m. If you can join us for any amount of time during, we're happy to have you. And I'm absolutely thrilled today to get started. So we're going to introduce Dimple Mukherjee, who is an occupational therapist by training and also a positive psychology expert. And she is here to talk to us about mornings. And I don't know about you, but it took me a while to get into a morning routine, being at home all the time. So I think I've got mine nailed down, but I'm excited to learn what she has to say, because I think the morning sets the tone for the day. If you're having a little trouble, or even if you're not, mornings, your tone for the morning will help to improve your day. So I'm happy to learn from her. So I'm gonna mute, and I'm gonna let Dimple take it away. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Hillary, for that intro. And yes, I am your morning person, and I'm so excited to be here. And I want to thank EHN Canada to inviting me over to do this with all of you. My style is more experiential, and I like to engage with all my participants, and you'll learn more about that as we go. Just to make sure that everyone has a pen and a journal with them. If you don't, please feel free to go ahead and get one. And the first thing that I'd love to do before I give you a little bit more in-depth intro to myself is if you could put in the chat box one word about how you're feeling in this moment. Just one word about how you're feeling in this moment. So there's some mixed feelings going on today, and whatever you're feeling is perfectly okay. So there's some people who are feeling anxious, some are worried, some are calm, some are grateful and optimistic, unmotivated. Very, very, very common feelings that I've been hearing from many people these past 6 weeks. And also understanding that these feelings will come and go. Some days will be better than others. So having said that, I'm just going to lead us into a short breathing practice. So if you can put down anything that you have in your hands and just relax. It's part of my morning ritual, and I love it because it's easy and it's simple. We're going to practice the 4-7-8 breathing. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a breathing style that aims to relax our nervous system. So if there's anything that you take away from today, I'd love for you to take away that your breath is your strongest ally and it's disposable to you at any time. So just relax back, have your feet planted on the floor if you're able to, and close your eyes. We are going to breathe together. We're going to inhale through our nose for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 7, and then release it for a count of 8. We're going to do 3 rounds. And if you're unable to hold your breath for a count of 7, then do the best you can. Here we go. So take a deep breath in through your nose. 2, 3, 4, and hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and release it through your mouth. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take a deep breath in through your nose. 2, 3, 4, hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last round, take a deep breath in. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and release through your mouth. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can gently come back to the screen. So to introduce myself, I am an occupational therapist, like Hillary said to you. I've been an OT for 23 years now, and I still can't believe that I've been an OT for that long, and I continue to be an OT. My practice has been, I've worked in an acute care hospital for about 6 years when I first started off as an OT, working primarily in acute care. And then I've been in private practice for the past 17 years, in the medical legal field. So I work a lot with individuals who have chronic pain, brain injuries, amputees, chronic conditions, and chronic fatigue. And what I've noticed in my practice and being an OT is that for a large part of it, our health is in our control. And so that led me into really exploring more of preventative medicine, which I like to call self-care, and really gaining back control of our health in whatever capacity we can. So I became a health coach. I did a training program and became a health coach. And from that, I went on and did my certification in positive psychology. So positive psychology is the science of well-being. And that's why I love teaching people on how to gain control of your health. From what I understand from Hillary is that last week, for those who attended the webinar, you were educated on how to manage stress and resilience. And I think one of the things that the presenter talked about is what can you control and what is out of your control. And I certainly feel that our mornings are in our control, to whatever extent you're able to give it attention. These days there's a saying, and it goes something like this: managing health is easier than treating illness. And I think we're all really appreciating that now. So in the spirit of staying well and healthy, I want to share with you how the mornings have come about for me and how morning rituals have come about for me. Because I didn't always start off this way. I've had very rushed mornings as a student and then as a young adult. And I actually hated mornings because mornings symbolized very much kind of like a frenzied day ahead, and always had a lot on my plate. So I kind of stumbled upon morning rituals by accident and because I had no choice. I'm a mom to 3 boys, so I lead a very busy life. And when I had my second son, I had to take an inventory of my day and really figure out where can I squeeze in some self-care time, because I thrived on it. And there was no time unless I woke up at like 5:30 a.m. And I'm not saying that you need to get up at 5:30 a.m. by any means. And especially right now, I don't want you to have the stress of creating a new habit. What I would love for you is to really leverage those habits that are working for you. So I'll guide you through that. So back to my child number 2, I didn't really have a choice. I reluctantly started getting up maybe just half an hour earlier, working out. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. So my first son is now 20 years old. I've been practicing morning rituals for 20 years. And what is really getting me through this time and this period right now are my morning rituals. It's because I have a very strong practice. And I love teaching morning rituals to other people. And so I would love for you to have an open mind today and to set an intention for what you want to gain out of our session today. So if you have your journal open, you can just write an intention of what you would like to gain out of our session today, and then we'll revisit it at the end, because setting an intention gives it weight. So take a moment to do that. And as an example, my intention for our call and our time together is to help you find that one simple action, one simple ritual that you can take into your mornings. Take a moment to write down an intention. It could be very simple. It could be, I want to wake up at a certain time. I want to wake up at 7 a.m. Or it could be, when I wake up, I will XXX. If you don't want to set a time, that's fine. When I wake up, I will make myself a calming tea. And once you've done that, I'm just going to go through what the structure of today will be. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why mornings and why rituals. I like calling it morning rituals. You're welcome to call it morning practice, morning routine, or just mornings, whatever resonates with you the most. There's no wrong way to do this. I'd love to read a poem to you by Mary Oliver. If any of you have heard Mary Oliver, she talks a lot about mornings. So I'd like to get us started on that and just to have a little bit of inspiration. And then we'll talk a little bit about how do you want your morning to feel. So it's really important to me that we're not just using our logic in terms of setting out a morning routine or a ritual, but we're also using our body to really guide us into what it is that we need in the morning, especially right now. So talking a little bit about that, and then I'm going to lead you through a visualization and some journal prompts. And then there will be the breakout session, which will just be 10 minutes. So it's just going to be you and a partner, and I'll guide you through that. And then I'm going to share some tips and resources once we get back into the big group, and then I'm going to leave some room for questions and answers. So why mornings? The reason mornings are a great time for you to set the tone for your day ahead is because there's an assumption that you slept well. So that's a whole different topic about whether or not you're sleeping well the night before. But in general, at least 7.5 hours is ideal. So again, there's a whole different topic around sleep hygiene. If you're not sleeping well, then wake up whatever time you wake up in the morning, and that will be your morning. So mornings are generally sacred. It's a time of the day when you have a golden opportunity to start all over again. You know that saying, tomorrow is a fresh day. It is exactly that. So it's a golden opportunity for you to set your intention. By the way, setting an intention in the morning is also a very simple practice. And if that's all you want to do, that's a great practice to build into your day. So setting an intention, you haven't been bombarded yet with all of your responsibilities. So that's why mornings are great for you to set the tone ahead. And you have full control of it. So for example, in my home right now, it's a little crazy because I have to be a teacher to my boys in addition to being a mom, in addition to be a working parent. So it's a lot on my plate. But what I do commit to is getting up before they do, even if that means getting up a half an hour or even 15 minutes, whatever you can spare, just for me to gather my thoughts and for me to engage in one ritual so that I can calm my nervous system down to set the tone of the day. So the thing that I've heard the most from people is that if their mornings are good, generally the day is good. So that's why mornings are great. Now, in terms of the word ritual and why I like that over practice or routine is because when I think of practice and routine, I think of the shoulds, the things that I should be doing. Whereas when I think of the ritual, the word ritual is just a softer word. And it reminds me the things that I want to do. So there's a beautiful definition of ritual by Jonathan Cook. And this is what he says. A ritual is anything that moves us from one state to another state. And I love that because, for example, if you are someone who drinks who's a coffee drinker and you get up in the morning, the first thing you look for is coffee, which is me, by the way, that's a ritual for me because I spend about 5 to 10 minutes making my own coffee at home. It's something I enjoy, and it transitions me from my sleep state into my awake state. So a ritual is anything that moves us from one state to another state. And that's why I love the word morning rituals, and I love them together. So what I would love to know from you is if you think about your mornings right now, what are some of the rituals, or name one ritual that you're already doing now without consciously realizing that you're doing it. So just name one ritual that you're doing right now in your morning and put that in the chat box for me so I can see what everyone's up to. Oh, gratitude list. That's one of mine too. And coffee. Great, thank you. So those are some rituals right there. Water, yep. And the other reason I love the word rituals over routine and practice is that I like to think of rituals as more fun and something that I actually enjoy doing. So I'd love that for you as well. So that when you first open your eyes, there's something for you to look forward to. And that can come in the form of a ritual. Another question that I have for you before we go into our visualization is thinking of your morning again right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very, very minimally satisfied or not satisfied at all, rather, to 10 being fully satisfied with your mornings, how satisfied are you with the way your mornings are right now on a scale of 1 to 10? If you could put that in the chat box. Great. I feel like we can never have enough tools. So I'm loving that everyone's pretty satisfied with their mornings at the end. Maybe if we have time, we can have a couple of shares about what's really working for people. And for those with the lower scores, I'm hoping that at the end of this session, you will have something that you can take back to move that low score to a higher score. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of a visualization, and if you've never done a visualization, it's very easy because I'm going to guide you through it, and it's quite relaxing. So I'm going to ask you to, again, just sit back, lay down, whatever position you are, just take a couple of breaths, and I'd like you to close your eyes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to guide you through an ideal morning exercise. So in this visualization, I love for you to imagine what an ideal morning would be like for you. So you're lying in your bed. And you're gently awoken. Slowly opening your eyes. How are you feeling in your body in that moment, in an ideal morning? How's your body feeling before you even step out of bed? What are you doing? What do you see around you? What are the sounds as you stir softly in your bed? What are the sounds that you're hearing around you? What parts of your body are craving for attention? Send them some love. Taking a few moments here, I'd like you to take a nice deep inhale and then exhale out. Now you're starting to shift around and you're making your way out of your bed. As your feet touch the ground and you stand up, where do you walk over to? What are you reaching for? What are some of the things that you have in your hand? What is the temperature around you of the room? Are you cold? Are you warm? Do you feel cozy? How are you feeling in this moment? And then next, you think about an activity that makes you very, very calm. And you start to engage in it. This simple action is going to set the tone of your day. The more you participate in it, the more grounded and rooted you feel. You've spent about 5 or 10 minutes on this activity. And when you think about your day ahead, you feel confident that you'll be able to tackle any challenges or conflicts that will come your way simply because you engaged in this one activity today, this morning. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes and pull out your journal and just write what you felt, what you saw, what you heard, what colors you saw around you, what you engaged in. So just write kind of free-flowing, uncensored. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. You're not going to be sharing these at all, so don't worry. And once I've given you a couple minutes, I'll tell you what the next step is. So just write down that ideal morning and especially pay attention to how your body felt, what you saw, what you heard, what you touched, and be as descriptive as possible. Okay, so what you're going to do with that little description that you have there is you're going to look at it and you're going to circle all the words there that stand out to you that feel good, that are positive words or actions. So I'd like you to circle phrases or actions that feel good in your body and that feel good to you, and then put them on a list. So just list them. And once you have them listed, I'd like you to put a star next to the top 2 or 3. If you have only a couple, then just leave it the way it is. But if you have more than like 5, just narrow them down to the top 2 or 3 words or actions or phrases that really speak to you. And what we're going to do next is a little bit of partner work. So I'm just going to explain this next piece to you because it's new to us and it's probably going to be new to you. Is that what we're going to do? And the reason we're doing partner work is because when we envision something that we want to invite into our life and we want to change the way we do things, it's beautiful to have somebody be positive and witness that for you because it holds more power. And research has shown that when somebody witnesses your desires or your intent, then you're more likely to go through with it. So it's just a beautiful practice to be able to do with somebody else, to be able to have somebody hold space for you while you share with them what it is that you want to invite in your life and vice versa. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do breakout rooms, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment, but it's just going to be you and one other person. And you're both going to get 5 minutes each. So it's going to be a total of 10 minutes. You're both going to get 5 minutes each. And you're going to share with each other what it is that you want to invite in. So the purpose of this visualization and writing down your top 2 or 3 actions or phrases is that from those actions and phrases, you're going to be able to pick one teeny little small shift that you can make to your morning, that you want to invite in more of this into your morning to set the tone for the day ahead. So what I love, what the purpose of this exercise is that by the end of that breakout session, which is 10 minutes long, you will have one simple ritual that you're going to introduce into your morning. And again, I want to emphasize that it's going to be a small ritual, something small, something that's about like a 6 or a 7 on a challenge of scale of 1 to 10. So nothing too crazy, but that's something that will make you feel really good about yourself and in your body. All right, so how was that for everyone? That little breakout session. I hope it wasn't too intimidating. I was paired up with someone too, and it was actually quite nice to have that few minutes of just to bring a little bit more depth to my reflections. Can anyone chat and let me know how it was for them, how the breakout session was, just so we know whether or not to have that again next time? Be honest. Does everyone have a small, simple ritual that they can now take into their morning and try it out for the next few days at least? Does everyone have one? Just put a quick note in the chat for me so that I know. Yes, okay, great. So I'm making an assumption that everyone has, hopefully is good. Hopefully means you have some ideas, which is good. And I will be giving you some too. I just didn't want to give you all of them right off the bat because I'd love for you to have your own and then I can fill you in with some more ideas. Okay, great. This is good. I'm glad that everybody has something. Now, I was going to open it up. Just look at the time. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to share what it is that they're going to be taking into their morning? Any volunteers? Anyone want to share what they are thinking about committing to as part of their morning ritual? No one? Okay, that's okay. No obligation at all to share. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some things that I've been doing in my mornings, and I feel lead you right through my morning, but I just want to put a little caveat to that is that I've been doing this for 20 years and I do dedicate most days about, sounds very luxurious, but I dedicate about an hour and a half most days to my morning rituals. And it definitely has been serving me right now. And it serves me during times of chaos and high stress. And it just keeps me grounded. Oh, I have some shares here. So before I go to mine, Samia, I think it is how you pronounce it, is going to be introducing mindfulness exercise or prayer. Beautiful prayer. I love prayer. Gentle movement. I was just talking to my partner about how if you can introduce movement into your day, especially in the morning, because for most of us, that's how we can get our metabolisms going. And it's really a great mood enhancer. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Catherine. Meditation and prayer. Wonderful. I love all of these initiatives, and I'll give you some tips on how to stay with your practice. The key is to keep it simple, simple, not overwhelming. And the other really big piece that is hard for the best of us to practice, even for myself in times, is that it's really learning about how to exercise self-compassion towards yourself. So if there's a day or two or three that you can't get to your morning rituals or you can't get to your practice, just really be kind and compassionate to yourself around that, because it's not a race. It's just we're in it for the baby steps, and the baby steps will get us there. And if there's days, there are a lot of hard days for many of us, just to exercise self-compassion and say you'll try again tomorrow. That's perfectly fine. I do that for myself too. So my morning ritual, it basically covers mind, body, and soul. So most days I'm attending a little bit to my mind, which is like brain stimulation, because I love to read, and I listen to a lot of my webinars, anything that I've recorded, and there's this ton of it. Like I pretty much have like a waiting list. I listen to my podcast in the morning. I don't do all of it in one day. I pick and choose like one or two. So I'll do that. I'll do a lot of my writing in the morning. So I love to write, and I'm really trying to develop that skill in myself. So I spend some mornings, not all mornings, doing a little bit of creative writing. And then, but those are not the first things I do. So those are my sort of my mind. And then I break it up into body and spirit as well. So actually the first thing I do is I get up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and I scrape my tongue. So tongue scraping is one of those morning rituals that I've dedicated a couple of years to. And it's based on the Ayurvedic principles. It's really easy to do. And if you want to get a tongue scraper, you can get one from Amazon. Simple practice. You can read up more about it or email me. I will leave you my contact. And I'm also going to leave you a little gift that you can download for free. So I'm going to do that at the end. So I do that. Then I go downstairs and I drink my lemon water. That's another practice that I've dedicated myself to for a number of years. So just a half a cup of warm water with half a lemon. So an entire lemon has to be cut in half and squeezed in. So it can't just be a slice. And the reason I do that is because it helps to maintain the ideal pH level in my body. So before I put anything that, it's a little bit more of a science, but anything that will raise my acidic levels in my body, which is coffee, I first alkaline my body, because when I alkaline my body, then I'm in ideal shape to strengthen my immune system, to decrease inflammation, and all those sorts of things. And so I will have my lemon water, and then I have my greens powder. So I have a greens powder that I keep in my fridge. I put it in water with a little bit of omega-3s, which are my fish oils. I have those, and then I have my coffee. And then I do all my brain stimulation stuff, whether that's reading or writing. And then I attend to my spirit. And the way I tend to my spirit in the morning, some of the rituals that I do is I do candle lighting. So something as simple as just lighting a candle is actually a beautiful act of intention. And if you want to set, intentions for the day, that's a good time to do it. If you want to set an affirmation, that's a good time to do it, is when you light a candle. I also love esoteric things like oracle cards and tarot cards, and digging deeper into it. So I may pull an oracle card or a tarot card for myself. It's what speaks to me the most. I follow the moon cycle. So today, I forgot to mention, I had meant to mention this at the start of our call, is that today is actually a beautiful day because it's new moon. So it's a great time if you follow the moon cycles or are interested in following the moon cycles. The new moon is a beautiful time to set new intentions. So today's actually the ideal time for us to cultivate a morning ritual practice. So it's a great time to introduce something. And it's also Earth Day. So having these strong connections to Mother Earth is also deeply rooted in my morning rituals. It's why I do what I do. And so As I was saying, I like to journal. So journaling is part of my spirit practice. If anyone's heard of Julia Cameron, she talks a lot about the artist way. She's the author of that. And she really goes by writing 3 pages, uncensored, uninterrupted, 3 pages, morning pages, she calls them. I myself don't do that, but a lot of people really swear by it. So really just having a journal, getting up in the morning, writing uncensored, 3 pages full, and it's just a releasing kind of a action that you can do in the mornings if you like to write. Something as simple as smelling essential oil, so just taking a whiff of an essential oil that will lift you. So whether you're looking for an uplifting scent like lemon, or a more grounding scent, or a more earthy scent like lavender, see what speaks to you the most, but you can simply take a sniff of it, and that could be a simple morning ritual that you do to set your tone for the day. And also applying oil on your body. These are just some tips that you can use to add to your rituals now or in the future. The trick is really to speak to all the senses in your body. So the sight, the smell, the touch, and the feeling in your body is what we're going for, and really paying attention to that. So on that note, I think we're getting close to closure time, so I want to make sure that we have room for any questions. But before I take questions, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm super grateful. Somebody mentioned the gratitude practice, so I do that in the mornings, but I do it throughout the day, especially these days. I've been doing more of it. So I always like to end my session by expressing gratitude for you beautiful humans for showing up during these crazy times, and we're all in this together. And again, being really thankful for EHN to have, to hold space for people in the form of the support group. And I'm going to leave you my website here in the chat. It's dimplemukherjee.com. And if you go to that website, you will see that there is a section for a free download, and the download is called the Morning Rituals Guide. So everything that we talked about here, obviously what I talked about right now is more recent, but everything that we talked about here and more is in that guide. It's free. You just have to go to my website. It's dimplemukherjee.com, and there's a section on it. You'll see a little box for you to fill out your name and your email, and it will be sent to you. Thank you so much.
We have a question. Oh gosh, how did you get from one thing to your huge ritual, your big ritual now?
Yes. How do you start with one simple thing and build up to the morning ritual you have now? Okay. So there is no formula for that, but what I am going to say about my own practice is that what really is key to building a morning ritual practice is to ensure that you're not overwhelming yourself. Like with anything else, even a good thing can be too much of a good thing. So really incorporating small, tiny steps, and really enjoying the feedback that you get from it. So what I'm realizing when I work with people on morning rituals is that when you introduce one small step to your morning ritual and you continue and you persist with it, and the biofeedback that you get from it is a positive one, it then leads you on taking steps more naturally towards building in more rituals. And if you need more guidance, so like I said, you can download the free morning rituals guidebook, and it will share with you a little bit more about that process. And you can always email me. My email's on my website. But really listen to your intuition in terms of when is a good time to introduce the next new little ritual. And then pretty much, and if you stick to that kind of consistency and listening to your body and really being compassionate with yourself, you'll be able to build up. Oftentimes, you're going to need a little bit more time to make sure that you have time to introduce more rituals into your practice. So as long as you're able to dedicate more time in your morning towards it, that will be a good gauge in terms of how many rituals you can build. And of course, you can switch up your rituals. So once you know which ones work for you, around what time, depending on what's happening in your life, like if you know the first of the month is a crazy time for you, you know that's the time where you're going to save, you might need a little bit more, a little bit less of your rituals. So it's kind of like this experiment that you're doing on your own. But those are some of those factors are around, looking at your month ahead, seeing when times are busy for you. Is that the time to rev up your rituals? listening to your intuition, and dedicating more time to it, and just being persistent and consistent with it. I hope that answers your question.
Dimple, next question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep this going when you return back to work? Say you're not working. How do you keep these positive changes going when you have less time?
Right. So I think what I'm hearing across the board with a lot of people is that they really, I love the word slow living. We're all enjoying slow living. And what my hope is that right now you have an abundance of time, that you really take the time to experiment with what rituals really serve you. Okay. So what I would suggest is, if you have more time than you would normally have, which is what it sounds like, to really experiment with different little rituals. At least give each of them, 3-4 days though, and see which ones really serve you the most, so that you can prioritize. And then what you're going to do is you're going to prioritize, just 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the ones that really work for you? And maybe keep 1 or 2 when you do have to go back to work. And maybe on the weekends, on the days that you're not working, allow yourself to go back to this way of living, is what I'm really hoping. I'm really hoping that people incorporate slow living while understanding that there are restrictions, because you will be going back to work.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful. I can tell you, not commuting, I'm saving like 90 minutes of time that I've been able to dedicate to me, which has been wake up, meditation, writing, walk. And it's been amazing. And I haven't even thought yet. Well, it's crossed my mind a couple times. How can I carry this over?
Yeah.
And I think just being gentle with yourself is great, and just saying, if even a little bit of good stuff carries over into whatever the after times looks like, or whatever brave new world we find ourselves in post COVID or post quarantine or whatever it is, whatever carries over is going to be magically beneficial.
Yeah. And one more thing that's so great. I know, one more thing that I want to say, 2 things actually, is that I talk a lot about morning rituals while respecting that not everyone's a morning person. So if you find yourself in a position when you go back to work, that you don't have the time in the morning, to really allow yourself to take some of those practices and perhaps do it at the end of the day, or a different time during your day. Like for Hillary, it might be like, oh, well, in the middle of my workday, if I'm able to do that, I'll do my walk then, versus doing it in the morning. So really being flexible in terms of shifting around the rituals in your day. And like I said, on the weekends, take advantage of no work days. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was, like, a lot of people are in a position where they can reevaluate how they want to work. And if you're in a position where, I'm not sure how many businesses are going to allow from work from home or online, if you're in a position to do that once a week, I think this is a good opportunity to reevaluate as well.
Other questions for Dimple before it's 5:02 Eastern time. Apologies to anyone in other time zones that are not.
I think there was one more question, but maybe it was sent to me privately, so I'm not going to state the name of the person, but I'll read it because maybe it was just an error. But basically, what's the difference between meditation and mindfulness? So meditation, my definition of the two, this is how I differentiate, is that meditation and mindfulness are both practices, but meditation is a little bit more intentional. So you're actually structuring it or setting time aside to actually do a meditative practice, and it's time limited. So whether it's like 5 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour, whereas mindfulness is a way of living. So it's really about being present, being in the here and now, which really helps with anxiety. I know a lot of people have a hard time being in the present, but really being in the present means being aware of what's happening in your environment. A good practice that I've heard for mindfulness, or to practice mindfulness, is through eating. So you take something small like a grape, and you chew it and really take in what it feels like, what it tastes like, what does that texture feel in your mouth and your tongue and your hands. That's and you do that on a regular basis throughout the day, that's living mindfully. So being really present.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I think that's it.
I think it's probably time to wrap up anyway. So unless something pops up last minute, I think I'll close it out for today. Dimple, thank you so much for lending us your expertise. I hope everybody got a little nugget or kernel out of this today. And I hope you come back for more, and I wish you nothing but the best, because these times are tough. It's cliche. Everyone's been saying it, but it's cliche for a reason, right? This is completely new. We're all just trying to, bungle our way through this. And I think if we do it together, we stand a much better chance of emerging from it maybe better than yesterday, or at least no worse for wear, or whatever it is. But whatever you're going through, it's okay. If you're an alumni of ours, thank you. If you've never, if you haven't talked to us in a while and you're here, thank you. Whoever you are, thank you. Thank you for being here. You've done something wonderful for yourself. Again, don't forget, this chat box is going away. So if you want Dimple's website, it's dimplemukherjee.com. But if you need to know how to spell it, it's in the chat box. So copy and paste that. And if you need anything from us, from EHN Canada, don't forget to reach out. If you haven't been, you're welcome. If you haven't, if you're an alumnus or an alumna and you have not been to a cake night or a meeting, like all of that stuff is online now. So reach out if you haven't in a while and you need a little bit extra help. If you need extra help and you're not part of our alumni community, also feel free to reach out. It's at edgewoodhealthnetwork.com. And stay tuned, because we'll be doing this again. I'm really excited. We've been talking to some more professionals, and the roster's looking really exciting. We had Christine last time, we have Dimple today, and then we have more to come. So have a wonderful evening on this Wednesday. It's hump day. I know weekends don't necessarily look all that different for everybody these days, but enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much, and have a good night.